Hello, welcome everybody to yet another episode of Transformation Thursday is what it was, and now it is Beyond Your Comfort Zone. So this is the first episode of Beyond Your Comfort Zone, but what we talk about still stay kind of the same. Um, about we'll look at pivotal moments in life, but also like was there something within your comfort zone, without your comfort, outside of your comfort zone? So that's what we the conversation we're going to have today. And today my guest is Jason Pirette. uh, he's calling in from Dallas, Texas. It's Thanksgiving, so to all the Americans, happy Thanksgiving. For me, it's just a regular work day in the Netherlands. So Jason is a executive thought leader. He founded Alpha Brand. He is a real expert in sales and marketing, and he talks about high performance and high impact on various corporate events. Um, and he believes that people were made to be great. Um, and like in the pre-talk we just had, he told me that he loves his dogs. He has three dogs, three big dogs. Um, so, Jason, please introduce yourself and just say straight away where people can reach you. That's done, and then you'll get another opportunity at the end. And
Absolutely. So, like Baz said, yes, my name is Jason Perret, and I am a business thought leader and high impact corporate speaker. And I do, in fact, actually believe that everybody has the opportunity to be great. If you want to know more about me or learn more about me, I actually put my website down underneath my name. So you can go to jasonperret.com. Easy enough, because if you've got something that's got my name on it, then you know how to get there and learn a little bit more. I've also got a contact form on there and various ways that you can get in touch with me. So I would love the opportunity to have a conversation with anybody. I love talking, which is obviously why I'm here on a podcast. But outside of that, if you have got an event or an organization that brings in speakers and are looking for motivation or inspiration, or trying to figure out how to transition from a company and team that is doing pretty well to a company that exceeds expectations, I would love to have that conversation with you and learn more about how I can help.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. So let's dive in straight away and then have a conversation about going beyond your comfort zone.
Let's do
Um,
it.
yeah. So what is it like? What in like if you look back at your life, maybe like you have like over 2 decades of experience uh, in the corporate world. What was something that was really beyond your comfort zone and you had to work through, and really you created a huge expansion in your career or life?
Yeah. I think that if you are living your best life, you are constantly stepping out of your comfort zone. I was thinking about this as we kind of led up to this talk. And, I think about the role as a parent. I'm a parent myself, right? So I have a 10-year-old daughter and I have a 12-year-old boy. In my role as a parent, and then it was the same for my parents and their role in my life, was really about pushing me to do things that were uncomfortable, right? So whether it was in the very beginning, taking those first steps to go out into preschool or kindergarten, and I was like, no, I don't want to go. I want to stay here, and I want to, I want to be with you guys. And they pushed me out the door and got me into those classes and that kind of stuff. Or, man, I can kind of fondly remember the very first time that I ever played soccer. Football, depending upon where you're listening in the world, right? And just how crazy and chaotic that was, and how, originally I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not good at it, or whatever. And as a parent, it's your job to push your kids outside of their comfort zone so they can discover something that could be their thing, but at least kind of pushes their horizons, right? And so I think my entire life I've kind of tried to live on the outside of my comfort zone. And so when I moved into my very first professional career, I just remember having the opportunity, my entire life, people always told me, they said, Jason, you should be in sales. You should be in sales. You could sell anything to anybody. You're so convincing, all these different kind of things. And so I remember about 20 years ago, I got the opportunity to have my first role in sales. And I remember getting to that company, and I had always heard, fake it till you make it, and, that old adage. And I did. I tried to fake it until I made it. And I wasn't making it very far. It was I was not good. I was not good at it. It was really uncomfortable. I couldn't figure out why for years people had told me that I could sell anything to anybody, but then when I actually got a real opportunity to do that, it wasn't working the way that I thought. And so there's a couple of different ways that could have gone for me, right? I think the first way is I could have retreated back into my comfort zone, said, hey, this company, this job is not for me. Just gone back to doing something different, something not sales related. Instead, what I did was I pushed beyond my comfort zone. There was actually a woman that I was working with. Her name is Sarah. I was in an inside sales position. I was sitting directly behind her. I guess she finally got fed up with hearing how terrible I was on the phone, because Sarah took me under her wing, and she was one of the top performing salespeople in this organization. And so she took me under her wing. And she kind of taught me the ins and outs, right? And really pushed me. I don't want to say to be different than who I was, because that wasn't the case. It was actually quite the opposite. She actually pushed me to figure out who I really was from the perspective of, hey, you're trying to pretend and to say and to be who you think a salesperson is, when really you need to be who you are in these sales engagements. And when that happened, and when she kind of helped me to remove some of the fillers and some of the fluff and some of the whatever, I really got the opportunity to dig in and to do it differently, and pushing myself beyond my comfort zone in that instance, and having someone to support pushing me beyond my comfort zone has made all the difference in my life. I mean, really, it's not just my professional career. That was really a pivotal moment for me, and a turning point for me that put me on the path that I am today. It has, Baz, it's done so many things. Number one, it's created the ability and the opportunities that I've had to be successful for all of these years. I have built my professional career on sales and marketing, and it all started from that moment. And so I'm really grateful and thankful for that. But what it also did is it also created a foundation for the platform that I speak on, and that was really where I first started to develop an obsession with high performance and what makes high performing people tick, and how are high performing people different than what we would consider normal people, and all of those things. It was that one moment. And so back to the original ask and what we're talking about, had I not stepped out of my comfort zone in that moment, or been pushed out of my comfort zone in that moment and actually embraced it, I definitely would not be where I am today.
So yeah, one of the things that I heard you say is like, you have to be yourself, or to connect with yourself to be successful in sales, or that was the uncomfortable thing. So while I say that, it's like kind of like funny that you think you have to step outside of your zone, but you're actually stepping within yourself, or like, this is who I am, and sell myself first, and then whatever you have to sell will uh, will kind of sell itself, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that there are two aspects to my professional life, my professional persona. One is obviously the sales and marketing consulting that I do, and so the company that I built, Alpha Brand, is an advisory and consulting firm, and so we work with companies on transformational executive leadership, right? So we come in, we'll look at how the company has gotten to where they are today, and then we will look at creating sales and go to market and marketing strategies that will help them to go to the next level. So there's that aspect of what I do, and I mentioned that to kind of set an understanding of when I say I have consistently worked with companies over the years. And one of the first exercises that we actually go through is talk to me about who you are as a company, right? And I mention this because it's applicable to people as well, right? So it's a people strategy that we apply to companies. So talk to us about who you are as a company. Talk to us about what makes you uniquely different than anybody else who does what you do, right? From that conversation that we have with them, we'll develop their USP, right? So their unique selling proposition. And then what we kind of strive to do through those conversations that we initially have is to really understand in an authentic way what makes a company different, right? Not just the unique selling proposition, but beyond that, we got dogs in the background.
I announced them.
We were mentioning. So beyond a shadow of a doubt, what a company does that makes them different, how they do what they do, how they want to communicate that to their customers. And part of understanding that, right, is about making sure that you are actually connecting with your ideal customer, right? Yeah. It's not enough to just say, hey, we'll sell to anybody, or we've got products for everybody. Yeah, I get that, right? Like Amazon gets and has products for everybody. But by that same token, Amazon doesn't necessarily connect with everybody, right? So if you are a person who is looking to get the product that you want within a couple of days, and the convenience of getting it when you want it delivered directly to your door is the most important thing to you, that is Amazon's ideal customer. If you are an extreme couponer, if you are a bargain hunter, if you are someone who is extremely discerning about the products that you are looking for, then yeah, does Amazon have some products for you? Sure they do. But are they trying to connect with you, and are they actually communicating that out to the world and saying, hey, you guys who are more discerning or whatever, come to us? They're not, because that's not their ideal customer, right? So understanding who you are and being able to tap into that so that you can connect with people, that is realistically the most important thing.
Yeah. So to go back to that, let's say that moment where you decided that you were going to stay in sales, or I don't know if that was really a decision, but or like when I was a trader, when I started trading, the first trade I did was around 10,000 euros, and then my last trade was around 40 billion.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like if I look back, like with the first trade, I was so much more nervous than with the last one, and it's like, it's like the magnitude of that one trade and that last trade, is like is like crazy. And I think like in like you getting out of your comfort zone in sales, like if you look back at that now, what you thought was like really like uh made you super nervous or super, you're like, it's like I can't do it, and now you look back at it, it's like really,
Yeah.
I'm just curious what that was for you, or where, like, yeah, how you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I experienced the exact same thing. So when I was in the beginning of this role that I was telling you about, that was kind of foundational for me. Um, the amount of the sale that I was looking for at that time was like $395.
Mhm.
And you would have thought that I was asking someone to buy a brand new Rolls Royce, right? Like I was so nervous, and it was difficult for me to genuinely connect. And yeah, I mean, like I was just like, man, I don't, it was the same. Um, the one of the recent deals that I closed was $2.5 million annual recurring revenue. So the lifetime value of that deal, could potentially be $25 million, right? Um, and I have to say, like you said, I was far less nervous about that opportunity than I was in the very beginning. And so I think it goes back to some of what I teach from stage when I have the opportunity to engage with audiences, and it's that um, you know there are a few things that separate high performers from the average Joe, and one of those things is consistency, right? And so I think that, Baz, when you tap into your actual self, when you've stepped out of your comfort zone and you've actually gotten comfortable with who you are, uh, then when you consistently do that, right? You then are in a really good position to continue to perform at a level that feels very different to everybody else, but really is you achieving your potential.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it will take it to the other part of your career, like speaking in public. Is a similar thing, I guess. Talking to five people. I don't know how big your audiences are right now, but like looking back to that, it's like, I mean, you the first time you really had to like step out of your comfort zone. It's still, I guess it's still not comfortable. It's like, I mean, maybe I don't know how it is for you, but tell me, maybe once you stay on stage, once you're standing on stage, it becomes easy. But like these moments before you go on, it's always a bit like, oh, what is how am I going to perform, what is the reaction, it's like,
Yeah.
whether it's big or small. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. So the very first time that I ever spoke to an audience professionally,
Mhm.
um, it was, and it felt a little bit different, because it was in conjunction with a company that I was working for. So
Okay.
that's how I kind of discovered, um, I don't know, the idea and the desire that I had to do that. I've been fortunate that in my professional career, I actually have built my career in marketing agencies. And one of the ways that marketing agencies, win clients is by presenting case studies and, doing educational talks about, different strategies and those kind of things. And so in being a part of these agencies, I've had the opportunity to go and stand in front of groups of people and communicate a value proposition. Um, and really, I mean, tell a story. And one of the things that always kind of stuck out to me about that was just how awesome it felt to be able to connect with people on a different level, right? And I say that from the perspective of, so painting a picture, you're standing at the front of a room, you're standing on a stage, whatever it is, and you've got these people that have a challenge, right? And the challenge has changed from when I was doing that initially to what I do today. But the idea of it is still the same, right? Is that they've got a challenge. And, originally the challenge was, man, we would like to be able to have our marketing perform as well as XYZ, or we're struggling to reach our right customers, or whatever their specific challenge is. And so they're sitting there in a room and they're looking for answers, right?
Yeah.
And so, fast forward to today, it's still something similar, right? Sometimes they don't even know specifically what their actual challenge is. But what I always attempt to do is put myself in the seat of the person who's about to hear what I have to say. I go out there and I deliver my best message 100% every time. I owe that to the people in the audience, because there are people who are going to hear me that time, and our paths may not cross again. And so it's my responsibility to really step out and to do my very best to deliver that message in a way that connects with as many people as possible. And when that happens, I think that it's uncomfortable initially, right? It's a weight that you wear that says, man, am I gonna do what I'm thinking I will do? One of the ways that I kind of find peace in being able to do that, Baz, is I have a strong faith, man. I believe in the God who created me, and the miracles that he's done and the miracles that he's created in my life. And I believe that, I'm not confused about who gave me the gift, right? It's God who gave me the gift. And so when I spend time with him, connected to him before I walk out on any stage to talk to any people, part of me just really feels like it's him talking through me to connect with people, and I'm just the vessel,
Okay. No, I mean, I totally get that, and respect that. What I wanted to ask you is like, what what would you tell people that want to go out on stage and are still stuck in their comfort zone?
Hang on, the dogs the dogs are in the background just going crazy. This is the challenge with live events, right?
Yeah, that's not
okay,
a problem. It's not a problem.
So
we have the Wi-Fi is working.
All right, so ask me your question again.
Not a problem. So what would you advise people that are that want to go out in public, speaking in public, and they're still in their comfort zone, or they're bumping against the edge, and what would you tell them to look at, to do, or to give up, or anything?
Yeah, so I think that my best advice for someone who wants to step out and do something like that is number one, get to a point, before you do that you really know what you want to say, right? There are lots of speakers out there that speak about a lot of different things, and every one of those things connects with a different person or connects differently with each person.
Yeah.
And there is no right or wrong, right? So I think the very first thing that you need to do is really get to that place where you go, okay, what do I want to talk about? And really sometimes what it boils down to is, what am I passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know, one thing that I led in with when we were talking just a moment ago was about this obsession that I have with high performers, and I say that from the perspective of when so in that very first instance where someone was teaching me how to be better at sales, and that person and a few other people within the company were leagues beyond everybody else from a revenue generation perspective, there was something, kind of in my mind that went, how is that possible? Like what is it about them? What are the things that are helping them to be better at this than anybody else, right? And the initial thought was like, oh man, they've been here for so long, they've been doing it for so long, there were all these different thoughts that went through my head, and I just, an inquisitive person, I started to try and look at it and see if I could find similarities between those people, right? And so I did, and spoiler alert, right? Like there are three things that I believe separate high performers from everybody else, and I think that they're things that everybody can tap into. Like, one is the consistency, which we talk about. The second is that every high performer is driven, right? Mm-hmm. They've got a goal, they've got something that they want to achieve. We don't have to go way deep into it, right? But that's number two. And then number three is the open-mindedness of those people, right? To consistently get better, to look for a different way, to take feedback and apply it, right? Like, these are all things that I talk about. But anyways, I mention all of that to say that once I kind of discovered that and saw that in all three or four of those people at that company, I went, well, is that true elsewhere? Right? Like, what if I look at a Michael Jordan? What if I look at a Kobe? What if I look at a Patrick Mahomes? Right? And do those things hold true in their lives? And so, anyways, I started to just kind of nerd out around high performance and whatever. And that's how I kind of created the platform that I speak from, right? And so not just for the perspective of speaking on it, but ultimately the things that I found, I then applied professionally to my personal life and my personal professional life. Then, when I joined another company and it was my job to build a team, I said, okay, I'm going to build a high performing team. And these are the things I'm going to do. And I tested it, and then I did it again, and then I did it again. Right. And so that's kind of how I developed the platform that I speak from. And so long way around to say, Baz, that the very first thing that you need to do is just figure out what you're passionate about. Once you figure that out, I think that the most important thing to do is just kind of come up with a rough outline, a rough idea, right? Mm-hmm. If you're passionate about it and you have a general rough idea about that, right, then ultimately you just need to carve out some time every day, every week, whatever it is, right, to get those ideas on paper and to start to kind of shape a talk around it, right? What I would have had to say about high performers and the idea of high performance and peak performance a year ago is not necessarily the same as what I say about it today, right? So the way that you craft your message and the way that people react to it and engage with it, that all shapes what it becomes, right? But the idea is that if you don't start putting that stuff down on paper and kind of understanding it a little bit, wrapping your head around it a little bit, it's going to be really difficult for you to put yourself in a position to step out of your comfort zone from that perspective.
Yeah.
So that's kind of step one. Step two. Step three, and this is the real step out of your comfort zone, is to share those ideas with somebody who will actually give you some relevant feedback.
Yeah.
And the way that you kind of tiptoe into that, the way that I tiptoe into that is I've shared, number one, my intention to want to speak with people that I considered in my inner circle. And then when I got their feedback around that, when I got their support around that, then the next thing that I did was I said, okay, I'm going to share with you some of what I want to talk about, and I want to get your reaction to it, right? And what came out of that was, number one, their initial reaction, but then number two, without fail, in most instances, there was someone that they said I also should bounce that off of, right? Like, hey, I think what you're saying is great, right? Or, hey, man, that was really awesome. You know who probably needs to hear that is Mitchell. Or, hey, you know who really needs to hear that is Jerry. And so, you reach out to Jerry. And so what happens is, you get comfortable where you are, and then you end up sharing and expanding your circle just a little bit in order to bring additional people in. It's kind of a cheat code for stepping out of your comfort zone is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like starting in the shallow end of a pool and then kind of starting to wade in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, no, I really like what you say about sharing, share, and people, you will meet people, you will enroll people, you will get people on board on your message. And also, what I also really like that you said, with high performers on feedback, I don't know if you read the book From Good to Great, but I'm reading it at the moment, and it's one of the things that's being said in the book is uh, the willingness to hear what doesn't want to be heard. Um, that really makes a difference in moving from good to great.
Yeah.
Where uh, like companies deny certain facts, or don't want to look at certain facts, or are not even aware of certain facts, or there's like uh, just people say things that just want to be heard, and then that really keeps it like within the comfort zone, basically. So yeah, I really like what you said, and for the viewers, I mean, I would totally recommend the book, From Good to Great. I forgot the writer of the book, but it's yeah, it's an amazing book. But yeah, I want to take it a little step forward into the conversation. We also talk about changes in this LinkedIn live, and I'm just like wondering, like like in your professional life or in your personal life, how do you deal with change, and how do you recognize that you resist change?
Yeah. So I think change is constant, right?
Yeah.
Uh, the world is changing every day. People are changing. We grow up, we evolve, right? Like, change is really the only constant. And so I think that so I'll go back a ways, and I'll talk about the pandemic. Um, so here it is, February, March 2020, and I'm working for a company. I love the people at that company. I love what I'm doing. I had been brought over to this company by a good friend of mine to build out a vertical sales team. And so I was doing that, and we were seeing success, and it was great. Like, I had advanced within that position at that company, and I was like, man, I will. Man, like, I'm on top of the world, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'll be here forever. This is gonna be great. And then we start to hear some inklings about coronavirus and the pandemic. And I remember being in San Francisco, California, and the streets were empty, right? Like, they hadn't locked everybody down yet. And I was like, man, like, it's a weird feeling, right? And there's this expression, right? The calm before the storm. And looking back on that moment, like, that was literally the calm before the storm. And so, here comes that scenario. And then I fly home. That was the last business trip I took. And I used to travel every couple of weeks for business. That was the last business trip I took before the pandemic and before everything shut down. And I'm at my house, and this company that I was working for was in the glass industry. And so we made glass collaboration surfaces and writing surfaces, glass whiteboards, and those kind of things. And so what was interesting about those first days of and weeks of the pandemic was trying to figure out whether or not there was an application for our products during the pandemic. Glass is an antimicrobial surface. So viruses and those kind of things don't stick to glass. They're easily cleaned. And we were like, man, and it's something we had talked about before. We actually had a specific product for healthcare that we call Health Board. That product still exists today. And so we had the opportunity in that moment, in the beginning stages of the pandemic, to get products out into triage tents outside of hospitals, right? And I'm like, all right, we're going to do this for a little bit, and then we're going to be back to normal, right? And that whole thing, and then it just didn't. It didn't get back to normal, right? It got worse before it was better. But I tell that story, obviously setting up the change to also set up the fact that, in May of 2020, I actually ended up losing my position at that company just because, companies were doing what they needed to do in order to survive. And I was unbelievably resistant to that change. It was the first time in my entire professional career that I've ever been laid off by a company. There was a lot of uncertainty, not only because of that, but then, compound on top of that what was going on with the global pandemic. It was just a really uneasy feeling. And where I went from there, I think is just a testament to the fact that change happens for a reason, right? And resisting change only delays your ability to see potentially the positives in that situation. So, I'll just rattle off a couple of the positives that I noticed, kind of after the fact. So within that scenario, and as I was kind of, when I look back, I'm like, man. So as I mentioned, I was traveling, every couple of weeks, and on the road a lot, had young kids. And I got to spend the entire summer with them, right? Just nonstop, consistent. we went out and we went fishing and we did geocaching. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but like you go out, you have a phone. There's a I have to explain it because it was actually a lot of fun. So you have a phone. Now, keep in mind, the pandemic is happening, right? So like we're looking for ideas and activities to be able to do outside that are like safe and all this different kind of stuff. So geocaching, you have a phone and there's like a pin drop or a coordinate on that phone, and someone has hidden a cache, which is basically it's like a little box, a little treasure or something, and you're going out and finding it. It's like a real life, treasure hunt that you get to go and do, and then you leave the cache where it is for somebody else to find it next. So we went out and we went geocaching, and we had never done that before, and we just did all these things, and I got to spend this entire summer with my kids. And when I look back on that time now, I'm just so blessed and so thankful for that. Right as the summer was wrapping up, a recruiter had reached out to me who was kind of tracking me for a little bit and said, hey, there's a company that I'm working with that is looking to expand their executive team. They're looking to bring in their first sales and marketing leader. And I think that you would be a good fit. And the rest was history from that perspective, because that opportunity worked out. What I didn't share is like, I was spending probably 2.5 hours a day in the car to get to the company that I had been laid off from. It was further away, and you make the sacrifices that you need to make to work at the company that you want to work at, and all of those different things. This company that wanted to hire me now after the summer and all that, 15 minutes from the house. Right. Yeah. So it gave me all this additional time back into my family and all this. And like, so I mention all of that to say that May of 2020, when I got noticed that I was going to be laid off, I was devastated. Like it did something like inwardly to me and outwardly to me. Like I wasn't the best version of myself, and I put on a brave face for my family, but I was like, man, what am I going to do? And how is this going to work out? And all of this different stuff. But then, just 3-4 short months later, I looked back on that situation and I went, man, why was I so resistant? Why couldn't I just say, hey, there's something else out there. There's something new. There's something better. And I don't know if you could tell me. I don't know, because you're a mindset coach.
Yeah.
So you could tell me, but like I always wonder, would it have made a difference for me had my attitude have been, okay, this happened. Now I'm going to create the situation that I'm looking for. I'm going to look for a company that's not 2.5 hours away. I'm going to look for a company where I don't have to travel as much, right? Like if I had been more intentional about, hey, these are the like doing an inventory of, hey, these are the things that were challenges. I don't know. Maybe it would have happened differently. Maybe that would have been the right mindset for me.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And what I to respond to that is like, it could have, but at the same time, it's exactly your struggle you had to go through. It's like in other areas of your life, your let's say your comfort zone is much more expanded. And that's therefore it works over there. Could you have done? I mean, only in hindsight, it's easy to say. It's like, oh, I could have done this maybe in 6 weeks instead of 6 months. Is they no, you wanted to, you were, let's say, addicted to resisting it, or addicted to your story. I mean, whether that is like until you consciously can choose to make a different decision, or even unconsciously, then it happens. As I was being this when I was trading. It took me 3 years from the first moment that I thought, maybe this is not for me, till actually resigning. It took me 3 years, and the moment I made the decision, that was on a Sunday evening. I was at a party, and a friend of mine told me, he's like, "How long? I mean, you've been telling this story now for so long." He's like, "You got to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, indeed, that's the only thing I need to do. I need to do it." And then I went into the office the next day, and I resigned. Um, had I not had that conversation, I might still be working there. I don't know. But it was like, it just like somehow it hit me at the right moment at the right time. And I was ready I saw also a new possibility instead of like holding on to what was. Um, Going back to you, um, so and I mean I really get that, and I see that a lot. That people, they build their identity around what they do, who they are, their title, whatever,
Mhm.
and that's totally fine. I know that that's how it works that way. So and then this one moment happens, you're made redundant, and your whole identity is like turned upside down, and it's like, where am I going? You're hitting by waves from all sides and emotional waves. um, then you get into a new situation, a stable situation, a new job, and what do you do to prevent, like, not to get into that similar situation, where you identify, where you completely go to identify with, like, oh, this is how life is, this is my job, this is my title, this is like, I'm the hot shot again, or whatever, I'm the guy again. And then you never know, another epidemic, or another, like, all of a sudden no one wants to buy glass anymore. I'm sure you're not in the glass, everybody is still in the glass industry, but now all of a sudden, or the prices of glass like triple, and now no one wants to buy it anymore. We've seen these crazy things happen, like, and then you're in the same situation, and then, like, sometimes people are like, I've been there, and I haven't really learned anything. I'm responding in the same way. um, Not, I'm just curious, what do
Yeah.
you?
So I don't know. I'll tell you when I figure it out. No,
Okay, good.
but yeah, you're 100% right, and I think that one of the things that I really believe and have tried to work on in my life this year is you have to, in a way, to your point, detach yourself from being that, I don't know, that being what you do, right? And I have a I have a talk that I give that resonates pretty well with a lot of different audiences, and it's about your why, and it's called Why Matters. And one of the paths that I go down kind of at the beginning of the talk is, have you ever noticed that when we're talking to kids, we don't ever ask them why they want to be whatever it is that they want to be. We stop at, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And we are so focused on the what for so many years within our life that I think it's difficult to then attach yourself to the why, right? And why is not singular, and why can change, and why is typically two or three questions deep. It's never the first thing. So if I said, hey, I do what I do because and I want to make good money and all of this different kind of stuff, and I want to do that for my family, okay, that's great, but that's not really your why. Why do you want to do that for your family? Well, because that's what was done for me. And okay, well then ask me that one more time, and you get down to the fact that really it's that I want to be able to provide for my children experiences and opportunities and take care of them in a way that I want them to be able to take care of their kids in that same way. But by that same token, I want to provide opportunities that potentially I didn't have, right? Like it's always deeper than the first why. And so I mention all of that to say that what I have worked on this year is really about figuring out who I am as a person, the skills that I have that are mine and that I want to refine and I want to hone. And you can call it your personal identity, you can call it your personal brand, but really investing in yourself in a way that ultimately says, this is who I am and this is what makes me tick. And I think it's hard to do because in most respects, so many of us spend so much time, active time, in our careers, and less of that time outside of the things that we do for our careers. So yeah, I spend more hours at home than I do at the office, but 8 of those hours, 6 of those hours, let's be honest, it's probably 6 of those hours I'm sleeping, right? And so, it's like there's an imbalance there. And so I'm not saying that all of a sudden everybody needs to figure out how to take more vacations and how to be out of the office more and those kind of things. But what I am saying is that you have to find time for yourself, to work on yourself, to develop yourself, to figure out the things about you that you like, to potentially figure out the things about you that you don't like. And if there are things about you that you don't like, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't like them. It just means that, and so I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that those are potentially things that you need to work through, right? Yeah. Those are things that you need to figure out. Like, and I was talking to somebody just the other day where what I said was, I understand that professionally, this is who you are. But if there are things that you want to develop beyond that, then find that time in chunks within your day, right? Maybe it's the commute on the way to the office, and you're gonna get into Audible, and you're gonna do books chunk by chunk, right? Maybe it's podcasts, right, at lunchtime, and I don't know, 15, 30 minutes, whatever it is that you have for lunch, you're going to develop part of yourself by listening to a podcast or podcast topic that's focused on that, right? Like, instead of needlessly scrolling social media, spend time on a TEDx talk. Yeah. TEDx talks are like 18 to 20 minutes, right? I think the actual time on stage is, I don't know, somewhere around 15 minutes or something. So like, before you jump into your social media scroll, spend that 15 minutes on you. And I think that for me personally, what I found when I started to do that is I started to ask questions of myself that said, can I do this? If I wanted to do this, how would I do this? Mm-hmm. And I started to find that those ideas then started to take up more of my time than the time that I was wasting doing stuff that wasn't improving me, right? And so all it takes, and I say all it takes like it's minor, but what it really does take, the foundational piece of it, is really just to start, right? And just to start doing that thing. And to take it just a step further, I think most of us don't start something new, something that we really want to do, something that we've been told to do, because I think that we try to start too far in, right? Yeah. We try to start too complicated, right? So, I am a long distance runner. I've run a couple of marathons. The last marathon that I ran was the Chicago Marathon in 2021. I'd like to do a marathon again. I have struggled to get back on the path to marathon. And when I look back at it just recently, just this week, it was the difference between saying, hey, I'm going to wake up 15 minutes earlier, and me saying, I'm going to wake up an hour earlier, right? Like waking up 15 minutes earlier, okay, then maybe I've got a little less time to do the run that I need to do, but I'm going to wake up a little earlier. 15 minutes is manageable. I'm going to get in a run. It may not be the run that I wanted, but then that habit that I'm going to start to build. Remember what I said about high performers and consistency, right? So that consistency, if I'll just consistently wake up early, right? That early can start 15 minutes, then it can be 30, then it can be an hour, right? Like it's the consistency of the action makes all the difference.
A single manageable step is way more effective than than one of these goals. I had a client once, and he'd love to run in the middle. He was working for Nike, and he loved to run at 10 o'clock in the evening, and he was running 2 times a week. And then he was like, yeah, but I want to run 3 times a week, and I want to run 6 o'clock in the morning because everybody at Nike runs at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, dude, don't do that.
Yeah.
See if you can go from running 2 times at 10 o'clock at night to 3 times at night, and that's it. And then if you got that under your belt, maybe see if you can get yourself to a run in the morning. But don't like try to change everything at once, because it doesn't work. For my personal journey, or some of the things that I've been dealing with, or one thing that I've been dealing with recently is like I gave up alcohol a long time ago, or like 5 years ago, and I didn't drink for 4 or 5 years, and then I kind of started drinking again. Nothing like, I mean, this is the weird thing about alcohol. Like I kind of have the urge that I have to say that I wasn't an alcoholic, or that I didn't go to the anonymous alcoholics. But it's like it wasn't working for me anymore, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. Okay, it was really like I did it. I was connected to a very good why, and then all of a sudden it slipped back into my life, and then I was like, why can I not? It was so easy to not drink for 5 years, and now it's so difficult to stop again. And then, like, same thing with resigning in my job. I just said, okay, from one day to the next, I can do this, and I'm just going to do it. And I did it, and I stopped drinking again. And I have the energy. I feel great, and I'm connected to a why, because it's not like what you say. It's not drinking alcohol. That's not something that I want to create. There's something behind it. I want to be super healthy. I want to have all the energy that I can get. I don't want to trade any of my energy back for what? Because I want to build my business. I want to live a long life, and I just want to feel great. Because when I feel great, I'm better for my clients, I'm better for my partner, etc., etc. And then you can even go like deeper. What do you want to create with your partner? What do you want to create with your clients, etc. I'm just looking a little bit at a time, Jason. I love talking to you, and this usually lasts around 45 minutes. We're, let's say, a little bit over time, and then you have Thanksgiving brunch coming up. I just want to give you like the last few things to say. What do you want to? What are you creating for your future? Say very briefly again where people can reach you, and then I'll round it up, and then you can go off to your brunch.
Awesome. And Baz, I have thoroughly enjoyed the conversation that we have had, and obviously would welcome the opportunity to talk with you anytime, whether it's live or not. You know what I mean? But if we're going to talk, we might as well just put it on social media out there and see who tunes in. But Yeah, I have loved this, and I love things like this because it's a platform to share ideas, and the overarching idea that I want to share with anybody and everybody out there is you don't have to ask for permission to be great, right? And I think that everybody has the ability to be great. Sometimes there are things that we have been told. Sometimes there are things that we tell ourselves. Sometimes there are things that we've convinced ourselves of that say, well, I'm not a high performer. I'm okay at what I do, or I'm good at what I do, but I'll never be the best. And the challenge with that mindset is that you're limiting yourself in a way that
Mhm.
you shouldn't, that you don't need to, right? And I believe that being a high performer is attainable, and it's trainable, right? And there's a framework. There are things that you need to look at and identify, and once you do and you implement those into your life, then the secret is that high performance is not the same for everybody. Unlocking high performance is basically figuring out how to take things to the next level.
Yeah.
And once you've figured out how to take it to that next level, then you apply the principles and you take it to the level beyond that, and so on and so forth. And so, if anything that I have said about that has resonated with you, if you or your organization would love to figure out how to tap into being a high performer, creating high performing teams, I would love to have the opportunity to chat with you. Go and find me and visit me on my website, jasonperrett.com. Fill out the contact form. You can or cannot say where you heard me, but I would love if you would say that you found me here. That would be awesome. And I'll also say, if there's anything else, if there's anything that resonated with you, I would love your feedback. And so if you would go to my website, jasonperrett.com, the contact form is actually just at the bottom of the first page. It's very easy. And if you click on contact in the top right, it'll take you to the bottom of the first page. I tried to make it as easy as possible. If anything that I said resonated with you, please jump on there and connect with me. A link to my Instagram, which is where I keep up with a lot of people, is also on that page. So feel free to click there, follow me on Instagram. I would love to have a conversation with you.
Okay, Jason, it was really a pleasure to have you here today to have this conversation about high performance. What is your why? I mean, we've touched on so many subjects. Your comfort zone, your journey through COVID, and your being made redundant. Um, Great lessons. Thank you for your openness and for your honesty about this. And next week there will be another episode. Tune in to another episode of Beyond Your Comfort Zone. Jason, for you and all the people in the States, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.